Yeah, August hasn't been great. And I'm not even talking about the political stuff, I'm just talking about the music. Not to say that there wasn't some decent or even great albums that came out this month, I just think that we weren't getting that same consistency that we've seen in June and July. This month was a lot more under the bar. You know, I think I gotta get this one out of the way first because this is by far one of the worst albums I've heard in a long time. I think the best thing about this album is that... Sorry, my body seems to have rejected the notion of saying anything positive about the new Glass Animals record. Weird. Side note, if you want a fun drinking game to play, listen to this album and take a shot every single time Dave sings a lyric about food. He cannot make it through a single song on this record without making reference to food or sweet sugary drinks. It makes me worried. I'm kind of terrified. Hashtag feed Dave. The best tracks are 1 out of 10, get out of here. I so desperately wanted this to be better than Doggerel because I was a big fan of their 2019 album, and I was like, I can't wait to see what these guys do next. But they seem to have regressed stylistically, diving even deeper into the repetitive, non-singing vocals that just fail to stick no matter what they do. It was lame and it made me sad. I'd say the best tracks here are A Hero's Death and You Said. I'll give this one a 5.5 out of 10. I don't usually really like death metal or any of its variants or cousins or family members that show up to the dinner party, but the symphonies that build Alphaville are utterly compelling to me. It's like a Nietzschean void, but instead of staring into darkness, I'm just listening to really heavy guitar riffs. Best tracks on this one are Rotted Futures, Transmission to Mercury, and Alphaville. Give this one a 7.5 out of 10. It's their first album in 17 years, so I was scared, right? I'm sure most people were. They were like, how do you follow up an album like Mount Eerie? And it turns out the answer is playing the same chords over and over for 8 minutes. Screw you, it's a masterpiece. Now, I don't like using the word transcendental to describe music anymore because it's become very, very overused in the past few years. But I think that this album really deserves it because these repeated chords and this growth that the microphones make using those chords is somewhat hypnotic to listen to. There's probably some garbage I could say about the meaning of life and the futility that we have and when we try to grasp it and how unflinching it is at evading us, but given how I started this sentence, you know that I'm not going to be able to come up with anything. Look, I'm going to put all the pretentious stuff aside. This album is amazing. One of the best of the year, and if you're looking for a story that you can get lost in and some music that feels almost effortless in its delivery, then this is what you've been looking for, I hope. The best tracks here are the album. I'm going to give this one a 9.5 out of 10. Ugh. I went into this one completely blind. I had no idea what I was in for. I saw this on albumoftheyear.org and it had like an 86 and I was like, all right, let's just go for it. And you know what? I got one of the worst pop punk albums I have heard in the past few years. I am impressed with how terrible this is. I am impressed. This is absolutely everything that I hate about modern pop punk rolled into one tight package. You've got the horrible songwriting, you've got the cringy lyrics, you've got the whiny vocals. You could probably cut 3/4 of this album and I would still want to disinfect my headphones after listening to it. The best tracks don't exist here. I give it a 2 out of 10 because there was like one riff there. Never mind, it's a 1. Like with an album title like this, bro, like you're just asking for it. Like you're begging for it, really. What could possibly go wrong? Well, you could abandon everything that made you original and stylistic on your demo tapes, and you could just pursue what made you so popular and clout chase whatever made you good on 3 nights, because that people with the Spotify playlists like that one. But you wouldn't do that, right? 3 out of 10. The best track is 10 Times Stronger because it's the shortest one on the album. Let me come up with a metaphor here. I feel the same way about Jaden Smith as I do Pop-Tarts. I will never in my life go out of my way to get a Pop-Tart and put it in the toaster and get it all gussied up and then eat it for my breakfast. But if you offer me one, I won't really turn you away. Nonetheless, I will feel nothing eating it. That's how I feel about listening to Jaden Smith's music. The only way for me to enjoy it is to not pay attention to the fact that I am eating it, which means it is bad food, therefore Jaden Smith has bad music. At least this tape project seems to be closer in quality to Sire than Eris, so I guess you get points there. I'll give you a 4 because you're lucky today and I'm feeling nice, but other than that, stop making music. Best track here is probably Rainbow Bap. That one actually had some decent flows, but you know they were ghost written. Everything I just said about Jaden's album applies to you now. Ernest Weatherly Green Jr., so help me God, I am going to stop listening to your musical output if you do not stop preemptively making music that sounds like it belongs in makeup tutorials. Best track is Leave You Behind. It's actually not that bad, but it's like a 5 out of 10, so it's boring. You know what, Aminé? I respect you. I respect you for a few reasons. I like that you know who you are. You know that you're a guy that's just trying to make fun, party bops, and you make them. You make them by the bucket load. They're well produced, they're well written, they're fun as hell, your vocal delivery is great, your features are great. It's nothing super original, but I will take it amidst this crapshoot of a month. Best tracks here are Fetus, Pressure in My Palms, and Compensating with Young Thug. Give this one a 7.5 out of 10. A beautiful posthumous album, but one that is definitely feeling on the emptier and unfinished side of posthumous album territory. Kind of ominous, really, to hear all these empty moments of silence in between the guitar strums. Best tracks are Old Worry and Whisper Away. I give this one a 6 out of 10. It's an interesting blend of hardcore house beats and some really, really rugged guitars, but it lacks any structure, and I feel like that's what prevented me from coming back and enjoying it multiple times. The final track also just drops dead, like there was no finality to this album at all. I do think what Duma is doing here is interesting, and I want to see where they can progress with this style, because it's cool to hear EDM fused with metal like this, but I think it needs to be a little more cohesive next time. I'm gonna keep an eye on these guys for the future. Give it a 5 out of 10 for now. This new TK Maidza project is really good. Probably the best rap and R&B album of the year. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. Best track is all of them. Go listen to it. Bye bye. Kelly does a lot with very little minimal instrumentation here. It's all very old, early 2000s electronic, but it's brought into modernity with her chilling vocals. I keep using ice words to describe it. I feel like this reminds me of like ice levels from old 3D, like late 90s era games. I couldn't tell you why, it just does. Anyway, check this one out if you're looking for some good art pop and maybe some trance while you're at it. Not that I know many people that are deliberately looking for trance. Best tracks here are probably Rewild, Line, and Night. Give this one an 8 out of 10. When you make an album that is over 2 hours in length and you fill it with tracks that are only 3 minutes long or shorter, you're gonna end up with some great tracks, some bad tracks, and a lot of mediocre tracks. I feel like this is just A.G. Cook dumping their backlog of work-in-progress demos that they have touched up to be releasable. And that's fine, it's cool. There's some pretty solid stuff on here. I just think that it's way, way too much. I do feel that you could take a lot of the greatest material on here though and make one cohesive, I don't know, like 40-minute project out of it, and that would have been fantastic. Instead, we just get a lot of material that kind of serves as filler. Either way, the best track on here is the cover of Today by Smashing Pumpkins. That was really fun to see as a hyperpop song. I'll give it a 6 out of 10. I went into the new Killers album feeling like a beachcomber. I was going into it expecting washed up trash and hoping to find maybe one or two good things among the rubble, but hey, to my surprise, the Killers are not doing too bad for pop rock artists. I'm not really sure how the track with Wise Blood ended up being the worst one on the album, but you know, it's fine, things happen. Best tracks on here are probably Caution and My Own Soul's Warning. 6 out of 10. Nas continues his legacy of proving that he is indeed the Weezer of rap music. And while this album may not be his Ratitude, it's probably his Hurley. It's just okay. Lots of really uninspired trap beats and a really terrible closer to the album. I don't know why he chose this one to end it, but the first half of the record is pretty solid. Best tracks, obviously, Ultra Black. I'll give you a 5. It's better than Nasir. This is some fun and energetic pop punk, but I have my nitpicks. And here they are. The songwriting sounds the same on every track. The vocals sound the same on every track. The guitar riffs sound about the same on every track. Is this meta joke landing yet? Please tell me it's landing. I do have a lot of hope for this band's future. I just think that this album was not adventurous enough to warrant returning to. Will say though, best tracks, Every Tradition and Not Ashamed, found myself coming back to. I like those ones. Just explore more. Put a sax on there or something. That would fit really well, actually. 6 out of 10. Can you please explain to me the thought process of stripping away the expansive and spacey production of All Mirrors and recording yourself through a broken blue snowball with your guitar? Why would you do this? Best tracks? Not here. 3 out of 10. Why did I listen to this? Okay, listen, hear me out. I didn't get what I wanted. I didn't get an album that is all at the quality level of Never Really Over, but I do think this is good. Hey, I got consistent, fun, and dancey 2010s style pop music. Best tracks here are probably Never Really Over and Daisies. I'll give this one a 6 out of 10, which is probably gonna sound bad given what I'm talking about next. The latest album from conceptualists Matmos is a 99.999. It's a 3-hour journey across genres and soundscapes created by 99 artists at 99 beats per minute. Now, as much as it pains me to do it, I'm gonna do something that you should never do. Look, I know I'm a bad person. I have to do this, okay? I'm gonna compare it to Laughingstock. I have always felt that process is less important than the result of an album. If you hold down one note for an hour, and then it's amazing, then sure, whatever. A lot of people respect Laughingstock because of the absolutely insane terms of its creation. Personally, for me, I think Laughingstock is important not because of how it was created, but just because of how good the music is that came out of it. Obviously, that music wouldn't exist without this insane process, but the music that came out of it was still some of the prettiest, finest art that I think has ever been put into musical form. Matmos' amalgamation of sonic babble, on the other hand, is discordant, confusing, and not that enjoyable to listen to. It sounds as though it was created by an AI that was fed nothing but Aphex Twin breakbeats and Merzbow samples. I was also reminded far too often of my tinnitus by the razor sharp high ends on this album. So while I applaud the creative effort and I recognize the sheer insanity that goes into creating a 3-hour epic like this, I just cannot see myself sitting down and enjoying it for the full 3 hours again. I do commend it for being consistently engaging, though. I never had any idea what was around the corner, though it was usually dissonance. I just can't give this album anything more than a 6. I think it's a massive achievement. I just don't think it sounds good. So those are the albums that came out this August. Was there anything I missed? If so, let me know down in the comments section. Let's have a discussion about that. Either way, hoping next month is better. I'm hoping to see Tenet as soon as possible and get a review up for that. And if I can't see that in time, then the next video will be the follow-up to the 4chan music creators. I'm excited for this next batch, actually. There's some really good stuff here. All right, you know the deal. Subscribe, whatnot. Do it.